In this video, I'm going to show you the complete step-by-step process of publishing your VR or XR game to the official MetaQuest store. Now in the first part, I'm going to show you the Unity setting that you need to do to create a store-compatible APK. Then we will learn how to add this APK to a release channel with the MetaQuest Developer Hub. And finally, create the store page. But what games are we going to publish, you may ask? And well, the good news is that we just finished a 5-part tutorial series on this channel where we built together this awesome mixed reality game where we are fighting some ghosts. So if you haven't already, go have a look at this video that you will find for free on this channel. As always, a big shout out to my Patreon, who are the one making it possible for me to make this content. You guys are the best. And if like them you want to join our awesome community of XR developers, you will find the link to the page down below. But without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so if you are building your mixed reality game like mine within Unity, there are some things that we want to make sure first before we build an APK that we want to send to the Meta Store. Now, first thing first, make sure to go to Edit, then to Project Settings. You should see this window showing right there, and you should maybe see here the Meta XR page if you are using the Meta XR SDK, like it is the case for this project. The good thing with the Meta XR SDK is that, as you can see, you have here a list of all of the settings that you need to do to make sure that your project is set up correctly. And the good news is that if you have already done all of this setting, there is not much to do from this point on. But in the case that you are not using the Meta XR SDK, so for example the Unity XR toolkit, let me show you what you need to do. So if we go to Player, the first thing that we want to make sure is to go here and change the company name to, well, our company name. In my case, I'm going to name this Valem Tutorials. For the product name, we can keep it to Ghost Hunter. Okay, so for the default icon that we can see here and that we can set over there, we can just ignore it. But if we go to resolution and presentation, there is just not much to do this because we're making a VR game. Now, anyway, for the splash image, this is where you can, for example, remove the Unity logo in the most recent version of Unity, or if you have a paid subscription. Next, if we go to other settings, this is where things get interesting. So if it's not the case, make sure that all of your things are a bit the same as mine right now. And this starts here with the color space that needs to be set to linear. For the graphics API, here in my case, I have both Vulkan and OpenGLES3. And I'm going to remove this one as Vulkan is a bit more optimized and is now allowed on the Metastore. There you go. If we go down below, the texture compression is set to ASTC, which is good. And they're very important for the identification. Make sure that the package name is a custom package name like this. And it should be good if it would be actually the same as for here the company name with the product name. So I'm actually going to write Valem Tutorials here instead of Valem so that it is a bit the same as the value on the top. We can leave the version and the bundle version code to 1. And for the target API level, I'm going to set it to 32. Beautiful. There you go. So down below, make sure that only the ARM64 is enabled. And for the write permission, let's set it to internal. And there you go. These are mostly the settings that you need to make sure you've handled. Now for the rest, it is not very important, so let's move to the last publishing settings. And here there is a very important thing to do before we build our game, and it is to create a key store. So I'm going to click here on Key Store Manager. This will open this window, and if we click here, we can create a new key store anywhere, and this should send you to your project. I'm going to name this one Ghost Hunter. Beautiful. We can press on enter and this will create the key store. So let's add a password to this key store and it needs to be at least 6 characters long. There you go. Now that you've entered password, you need to set an alias with another password here. It is better, of course, if you use another password than the one above. Here we can set also a validity for this key store to work. Beautiful. And now what's left is to simply click on add key. We can say yes to set this key store as our project key store. And there you go. As you can see, this has automatically created a key store for our project with here our password. Now everything is done. We can save, close this window. And the next thing that you want to make sure is the Android manifest. So if we go to plugin, then to Android, you should see this very important text file that contains some crucial information about what is allowed in your application. But at the moment here, this Android manifest is not complete. Why? Because we are using some stuff in our game that is not referenced here on this Android manifest. For example, we cannot see anywhere that we are using the path-through for our mixed reality. We cannot see anywhere that we are using the scene model, which I'm using in this game, and which we can see if we go, in our case, to the OVR manager. So as you can see, and tracking is not supported, but we do have some path-through over there. And we have as a permission request on startup the scene model to allow us to do some scene detection. So all of this needs to be reflected inside here, this Android manifest. So you can basically open the text file in a text editor and edit it. Or another easier way to do so is if you are using the Meta SDK, you can click on Meta, then on Tools, and then here you can click on Create Store Compatible Android Manifest and look at this 1, 2, 3. If we click on Replace, there you go, you have seen here the Android manifest change in runtime. It has, as you can see, changed all of this stuff, which is adding a permission for the path-through, for the scene model, and for the Anchor API. And this will make sure that everything is correctly set and that our app will be allowed when we push it on the store. And there you go, from that point on, everything is ready on our settings. The project settings of our application is good. The Android manifest is good. So let's go to File, Build Settings. Make sure here that the Android platform is selected. And now we simply need to click on Build and give a name to this build. I'm going to name this one Ghost Hunter. There you go. And click on Save. And there you go. After waiting a little bit, we have our build that is made and that we will be able to push to the Meta Store. Okay, so now how do we push this beauty into the Meta Store? Let me show you. So the first thing is to go here to the developer.meta.com website. You need, of course, to create an account for yourself. And once signed in, you can click on My Apps. There you go, this will send you here to the MetaQuest dashboard that will contain all of the applications that you've previously pushed on the Asset Store. Now, as you can see, I've already done a push of this application right here to prepare this tutorial. But before doing so, you first need to create a new organization if it's not done already, which is very simple. If you go at the top, you can click here and click on Create Organization. Creating an organization is very simple. You give it just a name like My Organization Name Test. There you go. We can click on I understand, submit, agree, submit. And once you've created an organization, you need actually to verify this organization by going here to org verification. And from this point on, if you have a business, you can start the verification and add your business information over there. And then you can add yourself as an administrator of this organization by giving one of these information. Okay, so at this point, you have created an organization, you have verified this organization, and then you will have to wait 1 or 2 days for Meta to accept your verification. But when the organization is made, this is now where we can create a new application that will receive our APK. So for this, very simply, you can click on Create a New App. Then we can give a name to our application. I'm going to name mine Ghost XR. There you go. And we can say if the application is on a Quest, so if it is standalone, or if it's connected to a PC with Link PC VR here. Now, in my case, because we are using an APK, we are building on the Meta Horizon Store. So I'm going to click this one and then on Create. And there you go. As you can see, our Ghost XR application has been created. If we click here on the dashboard, we can see our new Ghost XR app among all of the other applications. And at this point, it is time to add the APK that we just built to this application on the Meta dashboard. So how can we do so? The first thing that you will need to do is go here to this website to download the MetaQuest Developer Hub. Once downloaded, this is what you should see. So the MetaQuest Developer Hub is an awesome tool made by Meta for us developers As you can see, there is a bunch of things that we can do with it. And one of these tools is here, the app distribution. So let's click on it. There you go. And if we select the Valem Studio organization, so the organization that I've just created, we can see our Ghost XR application that we just made. And now if we click on it, we can see here that we have 4 release channels. Now basically the release channel are some channels that we can push our app to for different part of development. Now in my case, I'm only going to use here the production and the RC channel. Anyway, now what we can do is click on upload, navigate to where our APK is, mine is right there, and I'm going to double click on it. And there we go. Now we can click on next. Here, as you can see, there is a bunch of settings that we can say. For example, the supported device. You can see that by default, the Quest device, which is the first Quest headset, is removed because there is no pass-through in the first Quest, which I'm using for my game. So that's why it is by default disabled. Now, anyway, I will keep everything as is and click on upload. And now this is the moment of truth. Those our APK works when we push it on the RC channel. And there you go. As you can see, after waiting just a little bit, everything seems to work. As you can see, the build has been received on the RC channel. Now, from that point on, it means that you have finally pushed a build to a channel on the Meta Store. Now, this is very useful, and I'm going to show you why. If we click there, we can click on View Build. There you go. And here we are sent back to the MetaQuest dashboard that we were just before, and we can have a look at the build that we just made. Now, as you can see, there is a little issue here because the self-certification is incomplete. So let's click here on Start to finalize everything. And I'm going to select the Teens and Adult one, then click on Continue and on Confirm. Beautiful. Now that we have a build that is on the RC channel, if we click on Release Channel, we can see our RC channel over there. And as you can see, the invite method is set to email invite only. So if I click here on this channel, then if I go to user, I can invite here some user to test my game. And already this is super useful because this means that we can invite some people to test our game. Or maybe if you just simply want to test your application on different device, now you can add yourself among the user of this channel, and on all of the device that you are using, you will see this Ghost XR application, which means that now when you create a new version of the application, you can push it on this channel like we've done just before, and all of the devices that are invited inside this channel will receive the update automatically. So now you will not have to push every time. Okay, so one last thing that I need to mention is that if here you are making a new update on your application that you are trying to upload, so if you click here on upload, then you select the new version that you just made and then click on next, then upload. This is what you will see. We have an APK version duplicate, which is a big issue. So actually, when you are making a new version of your application, what you need to do is go to Edit, Project Settings, then Other Settings, and here you need to increase the bundle version code to something higher than the previous value, like 2 for example, and then you can rebuild your application, and this will allow you to update your application and push it on the MetaQuest Developer Hub to override the old one. Okay, so at this point, we've seen how to set the different settings on our Unity application to build an APK that is accepted by the Meta Store. Then we've seen how to use here this MetaQuest Developer Hub to push this application to one of the channels. And as you can see, this is already super useful during development if you want to send your application to multiple people and have them try different versions of your game. But what happens at the end when you are super happy with the result and that you really want to push it on the real store? So in other words, that your game is in production ready. So the technique is to simply add a new APK here to the production channel. You can also use another APK and simply change the channel. Like here, I can click over there, then push build to the channel and then select production store. And now we can click on copy. There we go. And now after waiting a little bit, this is what you should see. As you can see, we have also now an APK for the production store. And now with this APK, we'll be able to create our own store page. So let's go back to the Meta dashboard. We can select our application. And as you can see here, we have now a button to start the submission, which we can click on. There you go. Now, as you can see, there is 4 steps before we can submit our application to the store for review. The first one is the submission, but as you can see, we have a warning. So let's click on View Preference. And here I'm going to select everything and then click on Confirm. Beautiful. Now we can give a name for the submission. For the contact email, you can just write your email address. It will not be seen by anyone else than the Meta staff. So let's click on Save Change. There you go. We can now go to the pricing page. And I'm going to set the listing type to full release. Now for the price, I'm going to set it to free. And by the way, if you want to make it a paid game, you actually need to first add some payment info. So basically the way that you'd like to be paid. There we go. Now we can save change and go to the next step for the build. Now on the build, I'm going to select the build that we want to send for the store page. And in our case, we only have one in production. So let's add it. There you go. We can then save or change. And now we need to go to the app metadata, which is the most important part because this is where we can add a lot of information about our game. And as you can see, there is a lot of things that we can add for description, but also on the details for all of the image, screenshot and more. So let's simply add a very short description. There you go. Once you've written a description and a long description, you can even add some search keyword, but then you can save your change. You can see that it has accepted all of the description that I've written. And we can go to the next step, the specs. So we can set our game to be early access. For example, for the game mode, I'm going to set it to single user. Supported controller, I'm going to set the touch controllers. For the play area movement, supported play mode, I'm going to add standing and room scale. For the comfort level, comfortable. For the internet connection, it is not required. For the subscription, it is not required. For the category, I'm going to set it to games. For the type of game, I'm going to set it to action. And no, this app does not contain any social feature. There we go, can save. We have a little V, which means that it has accepted our change. We can then go to details. For the details, I'm going to write the publisher. Then for the website, we can add the website of the game. Now for the privacy policy, it gets a little bit more complicated because you know that Meta is not very forgiving in terms of privacy policy. So actually what I've done is write some text here that I've actually get from another game. And I've basically changed here the project to take the name of my game, so Ghost Hunter. And to make the text public, I've put it on GitHub as you can see. So now I can simply copy this file location and add it over there on the privacy policy. Now, if you need more information about how to write a privacy policy, there is a lot of documentation from Meta if you want to make it right. Now, anyway, the two last are optional, so we can click on Save Change. There you go. As you can see, everything seems to be good. So now let's go to the asset, and this is where we can add some images to our game. So this is, of course, the most important step. Now, look at everything that I've prepared for this tutorial. So these are all the images that you'll need. You first need a logo, which is 512 by 512. Then you need the same logo, but with a transparent background. Then you will need 5 other files. One which is 2560 by 1440. Another banner which is 3000 by 900. Another banner which is 1080 by 360. Then a vertical banner, which is 1008 by 1440. Then a square, which is 1440 by 1440. And then after that, you will need 5 screenshots, which will be 2560 by 1440. And there you go, a total of 10 images that you will need if you want to be accepted. So let's simply go back to the meta file. There we can add our transparent logo. Beautiful. We can do the same now with the non-transparent logo. There you go. We can drop the landscape now, then the square image. And there you go, guys. Now at this point, all of the images are uploaded. We have the logo transparent, the non-transparent logo. We have the cover art for landscape, square, portrait, mini landscape. We have the PDP art, and then we have 5 screenshots. You can also add a trailer and even 360 preview. But in my case, I think it will be already good like this. So I'm going to click on Save Change. As you can see, everything is good. So now we can go to the last setting, which we can set the content rating. And this is very easy to do. You can write here your developer contact email, and then you can create a certificate. So if you don't have any certificate right now, what you can do is simply click on request a new one. This will send you to a new page when you can answer some questions. So for example, the app type is game for me, and I'm going to answer everything no. There you go. Once you've answered all of these questions, you can finally click on next. And as you can see, this will generate to you a rating certificate. Mine is Peggy 3. And now we can click on this box and then click on finished. We can then click on close page, and this will send you back here to the meta dashboard where you should see this. Okay, and then finally we can click on save and submit. And now, as you can see, everything is green, which means that we have successfully managed to fill everything out. And now one thing is left, and it is to submit, and click on this very important button over there that will send our application to Meta, which will allow our application to go on the store or not. But before we do so, we can first click on Start Preview, and what this will do is allow us to have a look at what we just made. So if I click here on the web store, then view PDP, as you can see, this will show us what our web page is looking with all of the files that we've added. We can see here our images, the different screenshots. We can see here the description that we've added, as well as the privacy policy right here. And if everything is to your liking, now we can go back to the developer dashboard, close the window, and then simply click on the important Submit for Review button. And there you go, now everything is done. If we go to the app overview, this is what you should see. You can see that the status of this app is now set to submitted, which means that it has correctly been sent to Meta, and that hopefully it will be on the store in a few days. Okay guys, look at what just arrived in the mail 1 day later. Our game has been approved by Meta. Congratulations! Now this means that the page is live and can be accessed publicly. At this point, everybody can wishlist the game, but it's still missing a release date, as you can see. So let's click on Setup Release. And there you go, this is what you should see. By the way, you can schedule also the build release by simply clicking over there on the app submission. We can give a schedule date, but in my case, I think it's good like this. Let's simply click on Release Now. And there you have it, our game is now on the official MetaQuest store. How cool is that? Which means that it is ready to be seen and played by everyone. What a cool moment for any project. And even if the steps to do this take some time, I hope you enjoy watching this tutorial. As always, if you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. A big shout out to my Patreon who are appearing on the screen right now. And if, like them, you want to get access to exclusive content, like the source code of all of my videos, join us. The link is in the description. Thank you for watching and see you soon. Bye bye.